have to be in a good place so that you don't have that victim mentality. Things have happened when I was least expecting them, but I was in the good place that I needed to be in. Even on your failures, there's things that you learn that you would not have learned if you had won.
This balance about loving ourselves, but being hard on ourselves.
Yes.
When we say hard on ourselves, hard doesn't mean that I have regrets and I'm beating myself up and I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Hard on yourself just means like I'm requiring more.
Whenever I wake up every day, I ask the universe, what do you want from me today? Let me get anchored to throughout the day. I had just finished this book, which was telling people to purposely ghost someone. It builds value for you because they think that you're unattainable. And that was all bullshit, man.
I don't need to go tell everybody that I love myself. It's just an inside job.
Yes.
It's so important that we see relationships differently. Sometimes there's so many people that are struggling with relationships and then they just walk away and they get discouraged. So the Viewpoint Method is about inspecting really your view, taking on another perspective. Can you share with everybody your name and something you're famous for? Isn't that a crazy question?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Danial Malik. I'm famous for knowing John Cokinos.
Yes. In our relationship, in our friendship,
Yes.
What does that look like?
I would say you're a great friend, a confidant, a mentor. You've always given me good advice, and I can ask you honestly about anything. And you never give me, what I like is you don't just give me an answer. You want me to think about it and come up with with an answer that is best for me. And that's what kind of like, it helps me grow even more. So I'm grateful for having known John for 5 years almost, and hopefully forever for the rest of.
Well, you exhibit good fruitage in the sense that you're realizing your potential in a lot of different areas of your life. You've had steady progress all along. And when we share, when we go out to dinner and we have these conversations, there's discretion involved. I mean, you might share with me something and you have trust in me that, it's between you and me type of thing.
Absolutely.
And I've seen such great progress in you professionally, relationally, financially, in a lot of different areas. So I'm the one that's very grateful because it allows me to take my thought to another level to be able to work with you. And I'm learning a lot from you. So
I appreciate that. And the best way I would characterize it is the symbiotic relationship. He's definitely helping bring the best out of me. And I'm grateful that he feels the same, that, that he gets to good energy and positive vibes and help us tap that invisible that can kind of like lead to everlasting wisdom. And
great.
Yeah.
That expression that the mature mind gives without remembering and receives without forgetting. So, as we grow and we go through different phases, we want to become a giver. We'll find our joy that way. We want to make sure that the mature mind is giving, and we don't have to be a being counter and say, I did this for you, and you did. No, you just start giving, and your needs are met over a period of time. You create a great sense of personal satisfaction,
Yes.
personal joy.
Yes.
When you kind of get yourself out of the way. That doesn't mean that you're not taking care of the things you need to take care of. I'm just saying that there's just a little extra that we can do to look out for somebody and make sure they're on the right path.
Exactly.
Because Daniel, you need to be there for people.
You need to, yeah.
You need to be there for people, especially when somebody is going through a rough time. We figure out how to be there for people. What does that mean to you to be there for people?
It means a lot, because when I'm there for people, I can potentially help them through something, and then they can potentially help other people through that. So it just has an exponential effect, in my opinion. And as he said it beautifully, I don't expect anything in return, because I think whenever you expect things, that's kind of like, oftentimes it just leads to disappointment, right? Or so I do something with a carefree and open mind if I want to do something for somebody, and that gives me that personal satisfaction that he was talking about.
Daniel, this generation, Gen Z and the millennials, kind of frustrating as far as their social life goes. Some of the men are frustrated because things are so expensive out there that they can't get their feet on the ground. They can't find their footing. They may not have the social skills because they feel a little bit rusty, or they're not. They haven't been practicing, and they're not really sure what the heck do they want, man. But intrinsically, innately, it's important that Danial finds somebody that can bring out the very best in you. So when I say it's not all about you, but from your side, bringing out the best in you means what to you? What is the best in you? How would somebody compliment you in bringing out the best in you?
I think bringing out the best in me is bringing out that open-mindedness that is not always asking for answers, but searching for answers, tapping that, I'm going to say it again, that metaphor again, tapping that invisible, that tap for wisdom, everlasting wisdom that is available to all of us. And bringing out the best in me is me being able to find the answers myself without someone instructing me how to do something. That way it's genuinely my conscience kind of speaking with the divine, and that's how I look at that.
Look, we're going to talk a little bit about your experience as a single man. You happen to be in the Washington area. But before we do that, like, we've been working on Danial being in a good place. Because how the heck are you going to bring something to a relationship unless, we worked on ourselves? We're in a good place. So what have you been working on as far as who Danial is first?
Very good question. And I know we've talked about this, over different meetups and get-togethers, and that's a very good question. You have to be in a good place so that you don't have that victim mentality in a relationship that I've often seen why relationships go south. If you have that, willingness to be open-minded and to be able to take on anything, no matter what, everything will have challenges, any relationship, any job. So for me, being in a good place is being able to handle those without them impacting my temperament, without them impacting my values. So I think the way I look at it, life has lots of ups and downs based on, what I've experienced. There's ebbs and flows. You just have to maintain that even keel and not get too phased. So the most important thing for me is to make sure that I'm in a place where I can, be there for others. That helps me actually be in a better place. Like when I'm in a position to kind of assist others and not make everything just about me. So that's kind of my way, is that also gives me perspective on life and kind of like people's problems, and not just focus on myself. So one big thing for me has always been is kind of just passing around what comes around, passing it forward.
Yes, and if you're working on insecurities, before we talk about getting back on pace, it's like two evenly skilled fighters in a boxing match. It's the fighter that catches their breath quicker. And gets back into the fight that wins the fight. And you've gone through some difficult issues, and you haven't been immobilized. You haven't been stifled. You got your wind back, and you're back in there. So what's allowed you to see the bigger picture and catch your breath?
Very good question.
And get back into leaning forward into this world.
That's such a good question, John. So for me, most importantly, all that is now data that I've accumulated. So like anytime there's another challenge in my window, I look back at all the times where I overcame stuff, and I use that as data to support that, I can overcome. I've overcome worse situations than this. This is something that will pass too. So it's that perspective and, that hindsight that helps me kind of realize that I have been able to, life will throw a lot of challenges, and I've handled them, some better than others, but every time I've handled them better. And that data is what I use, like anytime I face something, in the future, I will use the data of all the past obstacles that I had to overcome. And as John said, there's been, obviously, as everyone has, various obstacles in my life.
Daniel, we talked about this balance about loving ourselves, but being hard on ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. When we say hard on ourselves, sometimes somebody says, well, you have to say the word hard on yourself. Hard doesn't mean that I have regrets and I'm beating myself up and I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Hard on yourself just means like I'm requiring more for tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm taking my game a little bit, a few inches higher, right? And I am appreciating myself. Yeah, I make mistakes, but there's a lot of good stuff about me, and I don't need to go tell everybody that I love myself. It's just an inside job.
Yes.
Just mean, look, I'm making progress. I feel like I have a sense of fulfillment. I feel like I have something to give away, some joy to give away, and that's allowing me to have an appreciation for myself. So how have you worked on, Danial, to appreciate your small steps of progress and at the same time require a lot from yourself? That delicate balance.
That is the key, that delicate balance of not, over exerting yourself to the point that you're never satisfied with the outcome. Every step you take there's a small win, there's something. Even on your failures, there's things that you learn that you would not have learned if you had won. So honestly, you may be, every time, if you think about it, you improve more upon failures than on success anyways. And that's something that has always helped me navigate challenges or things not going my way. It helps me pick another tool up and put it in my backpack of how I can better manage a situation. And that's why I feel like at this stage, my backpack is getting very full with different skills.
I love that. Like a lot of our greatest adversities, we come into our greatest accomplishments.
Yes.
It's like kind of when our back is against the wall,
Yes.
We start saying, okay, I've got to kind of get my back off this wall.
Yes.
And I can't see all the darn answers. The top of the staircase is fuzzy and misty, but I got that one step. I can take that one step because that's clear. Then I can take another step and slowly the answers start to come to me. But it's about Danial being in a good place.
Exactly.
Working harder on yourself than you do your job or that you do on somebody else. This is an inside job. So how are you working on yourself?
I have a routine. I do my meditation in the morning. Whenever I wake up every day, I kind of ask the universe, what do you want from me today? And that has been something that I try to kind of let me get anchored to throughout the day, whatever. And another thing I do is every morning I wake up, I'm grateful for something. Every day, my rule is to remind myself of even the most basic things, such as that sofa or this bed or that pillow. It kind of like really anchors me. And every morning I'm grateful for something. It doesn't have to be big. It could be something as small as my toothbrush.
I like
Just
that.
little things, and kind of like that helps me stay anchored.
Daniel, I always say that is the gratitude factor goes up from 0 to 10. If I get that elevated from a 7 to an 8 to a 9, then all of a sudden my joy factor starts to go up. Like they are like this together. The more gratitude I express and I have in my heart and I rehearse, my joy factor starts to go up. It's a close relationship. Okay, so it's a little frustrating for singles out there.
Yeah, I know, and it's been. I read somewhere that there's more young single adults now than there were, any time in the last 2 or 3 generations. Just because, I don't know, there's a huge, like you said, mismatch. Everyone has different high expectations. People aren't doing the inside work on themselves that I think that can help them navigate challenges in relationships. And it's a culmination of all those things. But you're so right. There are a lot more single people, eligible bachelors and bachelorettes than any other time in
Danial, we all are trying to live what we feel is our truth. We're trying to find evidence to really believe that this is our truth. Now, I'm going to tell you my truth, and People don't have to embrace it. But I believe that if you're in the right place and you're really if you can really bring value to somebody else, you really can. That I don't care what the statistics are. I don't know about the medium by which we find somebody. But I believe that with good expectations, that if I'm in a good place, one day I'm going to open my eyes and there's somebody that's there for me. I mean, that's my truth. And whether somebody else wants to believe it or not, I think we need to have the affirmations and the expectancy that there is somebody out there and I can be in a good place and I don't know when that's going to happen. But if I stay alert, then I might be a phone call. It might be on a platform. It might be like you turn around in a restaurant and you say hello. You don't know where this person's going to come from. But that's my belief. Now, we have to practice that. We can't be saying, hey, there's no great women out there. They have these qualities. All they want to find out is if they can be taken care of. You know, you hear all this dialogue.
That's all. Then you put that in your brain or in your conscience, and every time you're going to meet someone, you're going to exhibit that energy.
Now, Danial, you do need to exhibit some wisdom if you are online, which is a really interesting way. The whole world opens up to you. There's a higher multiplied result from all the... But there are some things that maybe you can impart some wisdom on.
Sure.
You've had some experience with it. And I thought I would have you for you to explain or share with everybody some of your insights on that.
Absolutely.
So first of all, what platform do you enjoy?
So I've been on Coffee Meets Bagel. I've been on Hinge. I've been on Bumble. Lately, I've been just focusing on one platform, or I was on one platform at a time, and now it's literally there were 3 platforms I was on at one point. Now it's just one because it just was getting too much, and I wanted to focus.
And also, you're in a little suburb of DC, but you enjoy meeting people in the city, and I think there's a demographic reason why.
Demographic reason. There's more single adults in the city. There's more better restaurants or cafes or places to do stuff for single people versus the suburbs, and like you said, there's a higher ratio of single
and Danial
prospects.
Let's talk about your expectation. And we've spoken about this before. I mean, you could show up and somebody is kind of taking advantage. They're having drinks and you're being very generous and you're not whining and dining, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
making sure that they're okay. And they don't really have any interest or whatever, and they're not being respectful.
Right.
And you feel taken advantage of. But let's leave that alone for a moment. Your highest level of expectation as far as just meeting somebody, not having any attachment to what happens. How does that resonate with you as far as, hey, I'm going to show up and let's see.
You said that so well. So that is the key, not having that expectation of fireworks going off right away. I'm going in with an open mind and meeting another person and getting to know how they feel in their shoes, what are their, belief systems, what gets them fired, what gets them motivated, and I treat it as an opportunity to just meet new interesting people and to build connection. Like I would say I've built about 25 LinkedIn connections just through online platforms, meeting people and then just being friends with them, checking on them every now and then and asking how their day is going, or not how their day, how is everything going for them, just and it's not always black and white, as you know.
So I don't know if there's best practices, but the do's and don'ts. You're online. What was the platform that you enjoy the most?
Coffee Meets Bagel.
Coffee Meets Bagel.
Yes,
very
it's an interesting name. Yeah.
So tell me a little about the intricacies of that and maybe best practice, or what you've learned, your experience with it.
Absolutely, yes. So Coffee Meets Bagel is another dating platform. You meet people based on what you read about their profiles, and you have to like their profile after that. So the profile is a mix of pictures and a little bit like a little summary about them and what anything else they want to put about themselves, whether they have pets, whether they have drinks, and it's all pretty summarized like on one page essentially. So it's easy to kind of like filter through that. Like you can select your filters.
Oh, so you would say, is it a like button?
It's a like button.
It's a like
Yep.
button. So then they can see that like button, and if they want to engage a little bit further, they're gonna do the like button also.
Exactly. So you have to have a mutual interest for you to be able to communicate.
Great. And what do you put out there about yourself?
Very good question.
Generally.
I've left, I've not filled in a whole paragraph. I have kind of like filled in key details about myself, what I'm looking for, what are some values that I like in a partner. So there are some people that have written, a long paragraph, and I think it gets overwhelming for somebody to read, especially if they don't know you. So I try to summarize what I aspire to have in another partner, and what are, things that are about me. For example, what degree I have, what kind of work I do, because those are important things that I think a partner should know based on, making a decision to meet me or not.
So what profile would you like to see in somebody? I mean, in a female, what would say, hey, this is worth taking another step?
That's a very good question. I don't have a particular rule that I want to see this. I just like to read what they've posted, and if they seem to not be too rigid that I want someone that does this, or someone that, does X, Y, and Z for me, because then that person I feel like is going to be a taker in a relationship. I like people that, they're not as rigid in their bio, and just based on like things that they've posted about their interests, if there's any mutual things that I like for example, I love sports, I love music, I love playing the piano as well. And so, any common interests, obviously, but then again, I try to keep an open mind. I don't like myself have any rigid rules that only certain things I will like and others I will not.
Danial, what's the capacity to communicate digitally back and forth before you meet?
Very good question, man. So it is very hard to talk to people through that app, because I'm sure they have many people they're talking to, and oftentimes someone will ghost someone. And that just becomes part of the game. Like you can talk to somebody for a week, and then they'll disappear for 2 weeks and say, "Oh, sorry, I was on a trip," or something. So it's very sporadic, like the communication. There's no expectation from one person.
You're not exchanging cell phones necessarily, or how does that work?
Some people exchange cell phones. In my opinion, when I've done that, it's not always worked out well, because I've realized that. If I like my rule, what I try to do is I try to exchange my number once I've met someone and made sure that I can, give them more personal information. Because if I start exchanging numbers with everyone I've matched with, or even a lot of people I've matched with, that would kind of get overwhelming. My cell phone would get overwhelming, and my information, my personal information, would be really out there. So they can track my full name and everything about me through that phone number.
And your next step would be: are we talking about coffee at a certain time? Are we talking about dinner? I mean, I'm sure that there's different preferences that you might have, but what suggestions would you like the viewer to think about?
I've learned a lot through the course of this app. I used to be very much about just going out for a nice dinner and sharing drinks and sharing laughter. And while that was fun, it didn't lead to anything long term. It was just meeting someone, and then honestly, more than half the time, you didn't really build a strong enough connection to want to see them again. So I truly believe and recommend other single people, to really get to know someone over just something as simple as a coffee or a dessert, and really see the raw, pure version of themselves, not the intoxicated or otherwise, the fake persona that they'll put out. So I think when you do something during the day, like if potentially during the day or during the evening, you really get a good feel of how someone may fit in your life.
And where might you meet this person?
One of the favorite places for me has been a bakery that is called Tate, Tatte. They have, not only do they have great coffees, but they have great desserts. They have other soft drinks and other.
If they have high ceilings and it's very bright and open, and it would probably be a very safe environment that somebody would.
That is absolutely true. It's a well-known bakery with very nice decor, and it's a public place.
Give me a
and there's
time
other
that
people.
you're going to meet somebody, hypothetically.
My preference is to meet somebody during the day, during like a Saturday afternoon,
Give me a time.
like maybe after lunch, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. What time are you showing up?
I try to show up always 10 minutes early because most of the time I'm the one that has asked them out, and I consider it rude not to show up and be able to host them and receive them.
And how are you dressed?
Not too formally. I don't always wear something too formal. So I would say I'll have a nice polo shirt and some nice khakis, something semi-formal.
Great. And you've seen this picture of somebody, so you can recognize them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're there, you have a nice little table, you see this person. Tell me physically what you do.
I'll get up, I'll say, hey, are you so-and-so? All right, nice to meet you. I'm Danial. Thank you for taking time to meet me today. Do you mind if we sit over there? That is where I have arranged for us to sit. And when they have a seat, oftentimes I will say, are I'm sure you've walked quite a bit or you've driven. Do you want me to get you some coffee or you want to come walk with me? Most of the time they'll walk over to the line with me.
Okay.
There's been a few times where someone did not. But nonetheless, I obliged and got them whatever they asked for. And, usually that's how I start the conversation, just getting a coffee and a little small
It's
snack.
a smile. The polite greeting is what? Is it a handshake? Is it a side hug? Is it a side look? What the heck are we talking
In the
about?
beginning, it's like a side hug, I'll be honest, because, we live in a society where, people usually, the side hugs are, kind of an informal greeting between opposite sexes a lot I've seen.
Okay.
I think a handshake is a little bit too formal, but I think it's like a side hug.
Okay, so now you're sitting down and there's a little bit of small talk. And
Yes.
so how are you breaking the ice?
I'll ask something as simple as something about like the weather or the place or just something that kind of is funny, and it will get them going or something. Another thing I'll do is I'll compliment them on something that I like. Everyone has something that has something that you would admire, whether it's their shoes, whether it's their shirt, whether it's their anything.
So what are you noticing generally as you going through some of these experiences? Are you notice how somebody is dressed? Are you seeing their smile? Are you looking at their appearance? Are you looking at their vibrations? Are you feeling their energy? I mean, your senses are saying what to you generally?
It just depends on the situation. There's been times where, I felt like I really had to break the ice a little bit longer because someone was more shy. So I had to like talk about things and kind of get them out of their comfort zone, ask them questions. I had to lead the conversation almost like I was kind of interviewing them. But there's been times where people have been very open and it went very smoothly both ways. It was just like me and you talking right now almost, just like very smooth. But it just depends. Usually, I will say that on the first meeting, you have to, since women tend to, at least in my experience, be a little bit shy when you first meet a stranger, I have to kind of try more to break the ice. And once that is done, I'm just looking into kind of the little cues, like how they're smiling at me, how they're kind of asking me questions. Do they seem interested? As you brought up, are they on their phone? So I'm just monitoring like different things about their body language because they may not always say, something clearly because they're shy, but sometimes their body language and their cues, you can kind of pick up on how they feel about you.
What is the proportion of conversation? Are you speaking 40% of the time, 60% of the time? I mean,
I would say in the beginning it's about 70% me. But I'm asking questions, trying to get them to open up. But usually by the end of the date, it's probably about if they feel comfortable with me, it's about 60% them, 40% me, because I've let them really, I've let them really feel like I wanted to hear their story.
Daniel, so you don't want it to come across as an interview, but you do want to find out where this person is,
Yes.
right? So what are some sample questions that you feel somebody could use that are appropriate?
I like to ask about something as simple as, I try to keep it light, especially on the first date. I'll ask about their interests, about something I read on their profile that I thought was interesting, about, their hobbies, and, what do they, what are some things that they admire in another person? Something that kind of, usually I like that question because it really allows them to like think about things that put us, what they like, and it usually helps them feel more comfortable that this person is asking questions that kind of bring that smile to their face, that yes, these are the things that I like in another person.
Have you ever asked a question you really liked the vibrations or you liked their answer? Can you think of an answer that you kind of enjoyed?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot a little.
Yeah. I've had quite a few. I think one time we were talking about traveling, and I just brought up that, oh yeah, I just got back from Italy, or I think it was France at that time. And I asked them, like, so are you, because I read on your profile that you like to travel. And it was funny. She said, yeah, I was there that same week. And I said, you know what? She said something very interesting. She said something about an invisible string. Maybe we have an invisible string that was tied, that kind of like tied us there, and now we're sitting in this place. And that was very interesting and very unique. I've never heard someone say something
Have you
like
ever
that.
asked a question and you didn't like their answer, and it was a little red flag for you?
Yeah, there's times where I think like I've been snubbed, maybe because they didn't like me or because of whatever reason. There's been quite a few instances where I asked something I thought pretty harmless, like, oh, so how was your day at work today? Or did you have a, good day at, at your job? Just creating conversation. And I got something like, I don't like to talk about work with people I don't know. And it just kind of I didn't expect that. And I respect that, but it just came across a little bit too cross. So I had a feeling, and there were other answers that I was receiving from her that I really realized this wasn't going well. And I honestly had to excuse myself. I said, hey, it's been nice knowing you, and we can stay in touch as friends. I always leave that option on the table, but I won't, but I don't see a romantic connection going forward.
In the digital field that we have, why is it important that you remain gracious? Although there's some starts and there's some stops, but remaining gracious and taking the high road and being cordial.
That is beautifully you said, and I've learned that over the years. Like I remember that when I was like 21, 22, I was not always so gracious. I would just, I would, if someone snubbed me, I would, I'll be honest, I would snub them back or say, yeah, I don't think that I'm that much into you either. I've made those because I was young and I was in my early 20s. The more I've realized that everyone, has their own journey. Everyone has their own experiences that shape them who they are, and that shapes their perspective. Maybe there's something not about me, but it could have been something that I said and that may have like brought back a bad memory. So I always like to give people that benefit of the doubt. And you can, if you stay as friends, just as me and Will are friends, me and you are friends, I think there's nothing to lose.
Can you tell us some of the qualities or the answers that are really important to you, that you want this person to exhibit certain qualities or priorities? What are a few?
Very well said. So some important priorities that I really like to see in another person, for example, are someone that seems to be like really also, at least by the second date, or even by the end of the first date, asking me some follow-up questions. That means that they're actually interested. If, I think if I've done in the beginning, I understand I've asked a lot of questions to kind of break the ice, but I want someone to actually be interested in my hobbies and ask me what how this app has, or like what I'm looking for on this app, and just make me feel also that I have a voice and make me feel heard. So that's something important. Another important thing is someone that that has good family values, that wants to be close to their family and my family, and not someone that wants to just kind of live in a bubble with me and just them. Someone that is okay with making plans with my family, and I can make plans with her family and things like that.
Love it. Danial, you're going back in time 3 years ago.
Okay.
And you could sit down with yourself and you're talking to yourself 3 years ago, but you know what you know now, okay? So what would you say to yourself and give yourself some advice, like some tips about dating if you were talking to yourself 3 years ago? What would you say?
Man, very good question again. 3 years ago, I was just trying to meet people, and I wanted to just go on as many dates. And I'm not gonna lie, at that time I was indulging in alcohol myself. Now I'm not drinking. So I used to go out, and I would enjoy getting tipsy with people and having like kind of a good time and getting to know kind of like just how a vibe of them, while none of us is sober, to be honest. We would all have at least a couple glasses of wine, and that takes its toll on you even the next day. So 3 years ago, my goal was to honestly go on as many dates and meet as many people, and just like, kind of going with the flow without a plan, to be very honest. And at this point, I'm very much more selective with who I go out with, who I meet, what my expectations are. And like one thing, as I brought up, I'm not trying to, bring alcohol into the equation now, just trying to get to know someone for who they really are, their true raw self. And another thing is, like 3 years ago, I had just finished this book called The Game, which kind of like teaches you how to not make yourself too available, because then they'll take you for granted. And I was playing all these, and I was like, starting to follow some of the principles in that book, which I completely disagree with at this stage. I believe in being honest, not playing games, and if someone likes you for that, they like you. If they don't, then they're not the right person for you. So I truly recommend other people, don't try to play games, don't try to play hard to get. Just be honest and be communicative about what you want, and how you carry yourself. And honestly, if someone appreciates you for who you truly are, then they may be the one for you.
Danial, a few red flags and a few green lights. What would you say?
Yeah. So a few red flags would be someone that doesn't seem to like care when they're obviously one red flag, someone that orders more than at least one drink. I think that means that going forward, they may order 4, 5. I don't want, obviously, someone to, maybe one glass of wine if someone wants to get. At this stage, I truly, honestly don't even prefer that, but at the most, one glass. But there's been times where I've told someone I'm not drinking, and if they don't respect that and they order multiple drinks, I'm not going to want to see them again. Another red flag is someone that doesn't seem to be bothered about what the prices on the menu are. They order the most expensive steak. Like I had a girl order a $99 steak without asking me if that was okay, and I felt that was just someone that was trying to take advantage of me. And so that's another red flag.
And they ate 20% of it and took 80% of it home as a doggy bag. Yeah.
Probably even more than half of it they took home, because it was just, they just wanted to take a picture of it.
They're takers. So
Yeah.
they're not very sensitive. And how does having acute awareness, your awareness, help you with this process of getting to know somebody? You're very aware of not only somebody else, but of yourself too.
Yeah, so I don't like to pass comments at that point. It's not really in my nature. It's just something I'll take home as a note, and I'll message them politely that, hey, I don't think that we're a good fit or something. If they oftentimes they'll ask you why did you feel that way, and I'll be honest with them about, hey, I didn't really think I didn't really appreciate that, and I think it's important for me to give them feedback so that they learn for their next experience.
Daniel, are you sitting down when I ask you this question? There are a lot of women out there, and they are so tired of being ghosted. And maybe it's right. Maybe it's not right to ghost somebody because you don't know where their emotional responses are, and you don't know where yours are.
Yeah.
So I think, you tell me, that it might be nice to communicate, whether it's green or red or yellow or whatever. Communicate that. Man up. Man up.
It comes back to that same point. 3 years ago, I had just finished this book called The Game, which was actually telling people to purposely ghost someone for 2 days or 3 days or a week. It builds value for you because they think that you're unattainable or they don't take you as for granted. And that was all bullshit, man. I hate to say that word, but just be communicative, be honest. If they like you for that, they do. If they don't, they don't. Or if you don't like somebody, be honest about what you didn't like. Just be, if there's something they said, something, I'm not gonna obviously criticize somebody on appearance or anything, or something they wear. That's not in my nature. But if it's something they said or something they did that I didn't appreciate, like being on their phone or ordering $108 steak with tip, it's $130 or whatever, and I'll let them know.
Okay, so let's say that you enjoy somebody's company and it's going really well. There's a vibration, there's a chemistry there. What's a follow-up that you might do? Where would you take this next?
So I usually try to not spend more than an hour and a half to 2 hours on the first date, because I've realized that people's social battery goes down, and you want to always, kind of, once you spend a couple hours, you have a good feel of the other person, and you want to kind of save some questions for next time. You don't want to overextend, because then people are tired and they may stay out of politeness, but then their energy goes down, and your energy goes down, so you start taking in messages the wrong way. You're not as alert. So I believe in the first date being about an hour and a half at the most, and then the second date, you kind of remember where you left off, and you think of a game plan. What are some questions that I think I can ask this time that I didn't ask last time?
I love it.
So yeah, that's pretty much how I don't believe in stretching the date to like multiple hours and all that.
You now have somebody in your world, and how did that come about?
Oh yeah, so I met somebody through Instagram. She was a sister of my cousin's wife, and we had mutual followers, and we followed each other and we started talking, and it brought back that point that you brought up, that when you're not looking for something, like I had tried the apps, I had tried different avenues, and on Instagram, I've never really met anyone. This is the first time I've met somebody on a picture application, which is not even meant for dating. If you're in the right place and you're alert and you're paying attention to cues, the right person will be there for you.
The first time you actually communicated them in person, whether it was on the phone or digitally or in person, what did that look like?
That's such a good question. So the first time, I remember after some Instagram messages for about 4 or 5 days, we had a chat on the phone. We exchanged phone numbers because she lived in the UK and I was here, and I wanted to hear her voice, put a kind of a voice to a profile, to an Instagram profile, make sure that it is, someone that I can actually talk to. It's not a robot or a bot. So when I met her, not met her, but rather I called her, the first thing I heard her voice, and it had a lot of warmth, and it was like I could almost sense something, like there was a lot of like, I could see that she may be the one, just based on how she asked me, how was your day? What did you do? Like it was very, something about it, like it felt like she actually cared, and she genuinely wanted to know how my day was. And I told her, I said, the way you asked that question, it actually sounds like you're not just asking me how my day was, you actually are invested in knowing how it went.
And fast forward, when you met in person, what were the impressions, the vibrations, the observations that you had?
I liked her a lot more in person in this, just because I could put a face to a name, and like and oftentimes in the past I've met somebody on, let's say I met somebody on the app, and we just talked on the phone. When we met in person, their energy was different. This time it stayed congruent, and it actually exceeded my expectations. And I really liked the way that she dressed, and she carried herself very very well. She was well spoken, and little things that I would not have met had we not met. For example, when we went to dinner, she tried to pay the bill every time, and or at the minimum split it. And that's something that was new to me. Like I told her, I said a lot of times people don't even expect that. They expect me to just pay. They don't even thank you. So I said I was communicative with her about things that I liked about her, and I told her to be communicative with me as well about what she liked or what she didn't like. And
Daniel, are you sitting there when I ask you this question? How did she feel about herself when she was in your presence?
I think she felt that I was paying attention to her, and I wanted to make her feel important, which was truly what I wanted to do. When she came, I planned activities based on what she had told me she liked on the phone, and things like that. So it made her feel
a little
important.
effort. You did a little homework.
Yes.
You spent a little bit of time.
Yes.
Making sure that she was going to enjoy her experience.
Yes, I didn't tell her obviously that I'm asking you these questions to to kind of make things happen. I just asked questions kind of subtly, like, oh, so what's your favorite food? What are, if you're in a new city, what do you like to do? Just questions, by the way. And she gave me answers, and I didn't like make her feel like as if I was doing it because I was gonna kind of plan those activities. It was just innocent questions, and I
Isn't it
made
interesting
a plan.
that over 3 years you came all the way around this track a little bit, and all of a sudden you have a connection, you have a relationship, you have a respect. It took you a little while to get there, but all of a sudden you have a comparison and contrast.
Yes.
You can see somebody who is exchanging good values to you, and you feel that you can both take each other someplace. It's like you both help each other stay on the rails.
Yes,
And if you go off the rails, you can help each other get back on the rails. It's a lot of give and take. And I've got to make this a giving situation. I've got to figure out how I can be a giver, not getting everything. And figure out a different perspective about how do I look out for the needs of somebody else. It's very fulfilling and fun.
I fully agree with you. It comes back to that point in any relationship, even a non-romantic relationship. It's not about what can I take from the person. It takes me back to that quote. I think it was Ronald Reagan, or I think it was Reagan. Don't ask what the country can do for you.
Yes.
Ask what you can do for the country.
Yes, I think that was John Kennedy.
No, sorry, John Kennedy, and that was a powerful quote.
Love it.
That I try to carry in my day-to-day personal relationships, work relationships. It's not about taking, because I truly believe what you give back, it will come back to you, if not through them, through other means, and you have to just be patient.
I'm feeling invigorated. I'm feeling charged up. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling like I have more confidence. I feel like I have a better perspective on something. And we would like you to say, thank you. We would like you to go forward and have expectations that, are you sitting down? You are worthy. Review why you're worthy. Continue to add value to your own self so you can give value away. And you might be inspired, and your life might transform in ways that you can't imagine. But work on being in a good place. And just like what Daniel said, you might turn around and all of a sudden, there's somebody new in your life that you didn't expect.
When you don't expect, oftentimes in my experience, things have happened when I was least expecting them, but I was in the good place that I needed to be in.
I love that.
Yes.
And you are in a good place.
Yes.
Upwards and onwards.
Yes.
Thank you.
Knock on wood. Thank you.
Hey, let's take a pause for just a moment. My name is John Cokinos, and I'm the founder of the Viewpoint Method principles. When I was a young professional, I was always out in front of an audience. And I was always looking for life principles, motivational things, processes to enhance my own life and the audience's life. And I had 4 great mentors all my life. And I started to document and come up with a curriculum, a method to bring out these principles for myself. When I started to practice the Viewpoint Method principles, my life changed drastically. my relationships got better, my financials got better. I started to attract really wonderful things, good people, good circumstances, good things into my world, and good people too. And then guess what happened? I started to work with students, and it was very satisfying. I felt a great sense of fulfillment and satisfaction because guess what? The students' lives started to change too. Well, in every area you can imagine. And so I really found out that when I was working with them and personally coaching these young students, I would say millennials and Gen X students, great things started to happen. They just had to follow the curriculum. So I started to have coaching calls once a month and twice a month, and I started to have retreats, and all of a sudden it became a community. And these young professional lives are, when they change their viewpoint, when they have a different perspective, when they are accountable to somebody, when they start looking at things differently, everything starts to change. The key thing is though, are you sitting down? You need to be in a good place. So we work on making sure you're in a good place, a good headspace to see the world in a totally different way, to write a new agreement, to have a new agreement with what you expect from yourself. And what started to happen is people's lives go in the upward trajectory. So personal coaching, let me pause, it's gotta be a good match. You go to viewpointmethod.com, you fill out a short form, we get on a Zoom call, we get to know each other. There's an investment on your part. Some young professionals, they need a scholarship, which is understandable. We start to work together. And so if it's a good match, your life in many different ways will transform itself in ways you just can't imagine. So, upwards and onwards.